Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into something I think we all struggle with, at least a little bit, and that's figuring out how to, reach our full potential.
Absolutely. That's a universal quest.
It is, right? And get this, the inspiration for today's deep dive actually comes from a book on building successful businesses.
Yeah, it might seem a little out there at first, but the core ideas often translate really well to personal growth. There's a lot of overlap.
I totally agree. The book is called Pasted Text, and it lays out this framework of what the author calls 5 buckets. Kind of like a recipe for success. I bet some people are thinking, business advice for my life.
Really? It's not as strange as it sounds.
Right. And to prove it, the author starts off with this story about seeing this guy all sweaty and rambling on about spaceships and get this monkey brains.
Oh, yeah. I remember that anecdote.
It was Elon Musk.
It really highlights how much credibility matters. Even the most far-out ideas can gain traction when they're coming from someone with a proven track record, someone who's already done the thing.
And that got me thinking, how do we, build that kind of foundation for ourselves?
Yeah.
That's where these 5 buckets come in, right?
Exactly. And the first bucket, the one that really forms the base for everything else, is what you know. It's your knowledge base, all the stuff you've learned, experienced, the foundation, so to speak.
Okay, so far so good. Learning's important. Check. But the book actually takes it a step further and says that investing in knowledge is the highest yielding investment anyone can make.
Makes sense if you think about it, because knowledge, unlike a lot of other things, it actually compounds over time. The more you learn, the more connections you make between ideas, the more opportunities kind of pop up. Have you ever played those video games with the skill trees?
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's like that, right? Each point you invest opens up whole new branches and abilities. It kind of snowballs.
And the cool thing is, this applies to anything you're into, Doesn't matter if you're a coding whiz or history buff, even a master gardener. That expertise has value. What's an area you feel like you're really knowledgeable in? How has that helped you, professionally?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's this intersection of psychology and communication.
Makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah. And that specialized knowledge is often what sets us apart, what makes us valuable. But here's where it gets really interesting, right? It's not just about having the knowledge. You've got to be able to actually do something with it.
Right. You have to apply it. And that's where bucket number 2 comes in. What you can do, which is all about skills. It started to make sense how these buckets sort of build on each other.
Exactly. Think of skills as the tools that let you actually apply all that knowledge you've gathered.
Okay, that makes sense. But, got to play devil's advocate here a little, right? Are skills really that important if you've got the knowledge? Couldn't you just, hire someone to take care of the doing part?
See, that's where the book brings up the story about Richard, this 21-year-old CEO.
Okay, what happened?
Well, he landed what seemed like this dream job at a marketing company. Big salary, all the perks. But here's the thing. He'd kind of skipped over that whole skills bucket. He had the ideas, but he was missing the practical know-how to, actually execute them.
Oh, I can already see where this is going.
Within 18 months, the company went belly up. Turns out, investors don't just throw money at ideas. They want to see that the person at the helm can deliver.
Oh, wow. That's a cautionary tale for sure. So what are some skills that you feel have been really valuable in your career, things that have helped you translate knowledge into action?
Well, for me, public speaking is a big one. Being able to articulate ideas clearly and persuasively has been crucial.
I can definitely see that. I guess it's kind of like you could know all the ingredients to make some fancy 5-star dish, but if you can't actually, cook,
Yeah.
well, you're still ordering takeout.
Exactly. So, yeah, think about your own journey for a second. What are some skills UVE developed that have proven to be really valuable? It could be coding, public speaking, heck, even something less obvious like active listening or conflict resolution.
It's those skills that turn knowledge into action, which ultimately leads to results.
Right. All right, we've talked about 2 buckets so far, and there are 3 more to go. And this is where we start to, expand outward a bit. Once you have a solid foundation of knowledge and skills, you become someone that other people want to connect with, which leads us to bucket number 3, who you know. It's all about building your network.
So it's not just about, collecting business cards or racking up LinkedIn connections.
No, not at all. This bucket is all about building genuine relationships, connecting with people who challenge you, inspire you, and open doors to new opportunities.
It's about surrounding yourself with people who can help you grow.
Exactly. People you can learn from and collaborate with. So I'm curious, when you think about your own field, who are some of the people you admire or would like to connect with?
That's a great question. I think in my field, there's this one journalist, Sarah, who does amazing investigative work, always digs deep, not afraid to tackle tough topics.
It sounds like someone who really embodies that spirit of continuous learning and using those skills to make a real impact. Someone worth connecting with, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned earlier that we'd dig into like the best ways to build a strong network, and I'm all ears. Honestly, networking sometimes feels a little, I don't know, awkward, like a dance I haven't quite figured out.
I get that. It's easy to think of networking as, just collecting business cards or something. But like we've been saying, it's really about making those genuine connections, finding people who can support you, people you can learn from and grow with.
Okay, so less about, schmoozing, more about actually building authentic relationships. But how do you do that, especially if you're, not exactly the most extroverted person?
I think it starts with kind of shifting your perspective on what networking, even IS. It's not about, forcing interactions or trying to impress people. It's about finding that common ground, those shared interests, and then exploring opportunities to collaborate.
So instead of going in with a, what can I get from this person mindset, it's more about how can we, learn from each other.
Exactly. And that can happen in so many ways. It could be as simple as going to industry events that you're genuinely interested in and striking up conversations with people who share your passion.
Or like joining some online communities related to your field.
Yeah, that's a great one too. It's about, creating opportunities for connection to happen more organically. And remember, networking isn't just about meeting new people. It's about nurturing those relationships you already have.
Right. That's important. Sometimes I get so caught up in, chasing new connections that I forget to invest in the ones that already matter.
Yeah, that happens. It's easy to do in a world that's constantly pushing us towards, newness and expansion. But those long-standing relationships, those are often the ones that give us the most support, the most insightful advice, and honestly, just some of the most fulfilling connections.
It's so true. I'm thinking about some of my mentors, people I've known for years, and they continue to inspire me and give me guidance.
And those professional connections, they need nurturing. Just like any other relationship, time, genuine effort, staying in touch, offering support when they need it, celebrating each other's successes.
I'm definitely getting a much clearer picture now of what it means to build a strong network. Less transactional, more about creating this web of mutually beneficial relationships.
And that's where the magic happens, when you have those people who believe in you, who support your growth, who challenge you. Anything is possible.
I love that. Speaking of teams, I guess, let's move on to bucket 4, what you have, which is all about resources. I'm kind of curious how this one fits into the overall picture, I guess.
This is the one that often gets people the most excited. Resources are what let us actually turn dreams into reality, so it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. But we talked earlier about how it's not just about chasing money or, fancy things, right?
Absolutely. Remember that analogy with the house built on sand? When we're talking about resources in this context, it's really about anything and everything that supports your growth, that helps you get to where you want to go.
So, yeah, financial capital is part of it, but also time, tools, access to information, even a supportive community, good health, that kind of thing.
You got it. It's taking that holistic view of what resources actually are, recognizing that they come in so many forms. Some are tangible, some aren't.
And what we need probably looks different for everyone, depending on their goals and what they're trying to achieve.
Of course. What's essential for you might not be what someone else needs to thrive. That's why it's important to, really get clear on your own goals, values, what success means to you.
It feels like all these buckets are really connected. You start by building that foundation, knowledge, skills, then you expand outwards, creating a network, attracting the resources you need, and it all culminates in
bucket 5, what the world thinks of you, your reputation. And it might seem like just a result of those other 4, but it actually has a pretty big impact on the resources you attract and the opportunities that come your way too.
It's like this feedback loop, right? You build a good reputation by consistently delivering value. And that opens doors to more resources and opportunities, which then further enhances your reputation.
Exactly. It's this awesome cycle where, our actions, our values, the impact we have, they're constantly shaping and reshaping how people see us. And that's why it's so important to be intentional about the reputation you're building, not just for yourself, but for the wider world too.
So what do you want to be known for? What kind of impact do you hope to have?
Those are big questions. And honestly, sometimes I think we get so caught up in the day-to-day grind that we forget to think about the bigger picture,
Yeah.
the legacy we're creating.
Yeah, we can lose sight of that. But taking the time to define those values, to figure out your purpose, to make sure your actions are aligned with those bigger aspirations, that's what creates a truly fulfilling and impactful life.
Right. Absolutely. It's not about external validation. It's about that inner sense of alignment and purpose.
Yep.
And that brings us back to that concept of professional earthquakes, those unexpected events that can, really shake things up. How do these 5 buckets help us weather those storms?
That's what I'm really curious about, because those earthquakes happen, right, to everyone.
They do. So imagine one hitting your career. Your industry is disrupted, your company downsizes, maybe you even face a health challenge, something totally unexpected. What's left when the dust settles?
Well, it's probably not your job title or your, paycheck.
Exactly. Those things, they come and go. But what remains? Your knowledge, your skills, the network you've built, and the reputation you've earned. Those are the foundations that can't be taken away, no matter what happens externally.
It's like having this built-in safety net, this source of resilience that helps you bounce back.
Exactly. That's why it's so crucial to keep investing in those first 4 buckets. They're not just stepping stones. They're essential to our well-being, both professionally and personally.
It's like having this inner compass to guide you, through uncertainty, to help you adapt, to learn from those challenges and come out stronger on the other side.
It's beautiful, really. And it leads to a pretty important question for all of us. What are your non-negotiables? Those skills and knowledge that make you uniquely valuable, that help you adapt. What makes you, you?
It's a good question to think about, because those are the assets that will always be there, regardless of what life throws your way.
And what can you start learning today to become even more resilient? Because things change, and the ability to learn, to grow, to evolve, that's what matters.
Okay, we've covered so much already. The importance of knowledge and skills, the power of a strong network, this holistic view of resources, and building a reputation that reflects your values. But there's this one last piece we haven't really dug into yet, and I think it kind of ties everything together.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What are you thinking about?
It's the idea of legacy. We've touched on it a bit, but I think it goes beyond just, reputation. It's about the impact we have, the contributions we make, the values we leave behind. It's what we're remembered for.
It really gets to the heart of, what makes a life meaningful.
And I think it's easy to overlook that, especially with everything moving so fast and everyone focused on achievements and, I don't know, just doing all the time.
It's easy to get caught up in the next goal, the next promotion, the next whatever it is. And we forget to ask ourselves, what will I leave behind? What's my mark on the world?
And those are the questions that matter, right? At the end of the day, it's not about the stuff we accumulate. It's about the lives we touch, the difference we make.
And that legacy can take so many forms. It could be some groundbreaking invention, a work of art, a social justice movement, even just how we raise our kids, the values we pass on.
This conversation is making me realize that legacy isn't something that just, happens after you're gone.
Right.
We're creating it every single day with the choices we make, the actions we take, the impact we have on the world around us.
It's a powerful shift in perspective, isn't it? It means we all have the power to create that legacy, regardless of where we are in life, our background, our circumstances.
And it starts with investing in ourselves, filling those 5 buckets, and then using what we've built to make that positive difference.
It's a journey worth taking. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. This deep dive has been, really eye-opening. I'm already feeling inspired to take action. But before we get to that, there's this one last aspect of the 5 buckets I want to touch on, something especially relevant these days.
I'm all ears. What's on your mind?
It's the ethics of it all, especially when we're talking about network and resources. We've covered how important it is to build those connections and attract those resources. But how do we do it in a way that aligns with our values, in a way that contributes to a better world, a more just world?
It's such a crucial question because as we're working towards our goals, we have to remember that we're all part of this bigger system, this web, where our actions ripple outwards.
Right. It's not just about us, it's about everyone.
Exactly. So as we explore these 5 buckets, let's keep that in mind, How can we build networks that are inclusive? How can we use resources to create opportunities for others? How do we make sure our success doesn't come at someone else's expense?
Those are the things we need to be asking ourselves, right?
Absolutely. True success isn't just about individual achievement, it's about how we contribute to making the world a better place for everyone.
This has been so insightful. We've covered the importance of knowledge and skills, the power of networks and resources, and building a reputation that reflects our values. But before we wrap up, I want to come back to that idea of legacy, because it really brings everything together.
I agree. It's what connects all our individual journeys to something bigger.
And it's something we all have the power to shape.
Because legacy isn't just what we leave behind, it's the impact we're having right now, every day. It's about who we are, the difference we're making, what we stand for.
As we work on filling those 5 buckets, let's remember that the ultimate goal isn't just personal success, it's about creating a legacy that inspires others, uplifts communities, makes the world a better place.
Well said. So as you go through your day, think about this. What's one small step you can take today to fill one of your buckets? What can you learn? What skill can you practice? Who can you reach out to? What resource can you utilize? How can your actions today contribute to the legacy you want to leave behind?
Even the smallest actions, when we do them consistently with intention, they can add up to something really powerful.
And you're not alone on this journey either. There's a whole community out there ready to support and inspire you. So reach out, connect, and let's create a world where everyone can reach their full potential.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep exploring, and keep shining bright. We'll see you on the next deep dive. It's like we talk about reputation, but it's really just all those stories, right? The things people say about us when we're not in the room, all those little moments, those interactions, the ways we show up, it all adds up.
Yeah, it's like this tapestry woven from all those threads. And the best part is we actually have a lot of influence over how those stories are told.
Yeah, we can shape how people see us. But it's got to be genuine, right? Not just some, PR spin. It's about walking the walk.
Exactly. In a world obsessed with image, authenticity really stands out.
And that's what attracts the right people, the right opportunities.
When your inner world and your outer world are, in sync, when your actions reflect those deeper values, that's when your reputation becomes this testament to the impact you're having.
This whole conversation, it's like someone handed us this blueprint, not just for, being successful, but for building a life that actually means something.
And remember, it's not like some rigid set of rules either. It's more like
a guide.
Yeah, a guide, something you can adapt as you grow, as your goals change.
Because those things change, right? Life throws curveballs.
It does. That's why it's all about embracing that journey of growth, that constant learning, being open to the unknown, to new possibilities.
This deep dive has been amazing. Seriously, I've got so much to think about. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
I'm listening.
The world needs what you have to offer. Your unique gifts, talents, passions. And the best way to share those, to really make a difference, is to invest in yourself. Fill those 5 buckets.
It all starts there, with you.
Yeah. So as you're going about your day-to-day, ask yourself, what's one small step you can take to fill one of your buckets? Maybe learn something new, practice a skill, reach out to someone.
Or just think about how you want to be remembered. What's that legacy you're building, one day at a time?
Even the smallest actions, when you do them consistently, they can have this huge impact over time.
It's that ripple effect, and you don't have to do it alone either. There are so many amazing people out there ready to support you, inspire you, work alongside you. So find your community, connect, and let's build a world where everyone has the chance to reach their full potential.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep exploring, and keep shining bright. We'll see you on the next deep dive.